You have a brand, I'm opening up an opportunity for you to get your brand in front of millions of people. That's right. If you want to find out how, email me right now, advertise at hiphopun.com. Get your brand right before each video that we do. Literally put your brand in front of millions of people per month. The email's advertise at hiphopun.com. Do not waste slots, fill fast. Yesterday, up and coming Houston rapper B2B Savage was killed in Houston. Now, people didn't waste any time going in and coming up with their conspiracy theories as they always do. Now, he did an interview on Vlad TV, apparently, and Benzino steps up to the plate and says this, right? He says, "The curse of Vlad TV. I ain't never going on that S again. The culture is already killing each other at such a high rate. We don't need no instigators by an outsider," right? Now, I didn't watch B2B Savage interview. I didn't know he was even on Vlad TV. Is not a channel that I really watch, honestly. Everybody sees the clips on, Instagram and on blogs and all of that. And, when it's something interesting, obviously people are going to listen. But, I didn't know much about this rapper. Now, I want to speak on this, right? From a perspective, because you had Beanie Siegel also talking about, I'm not going to play the clip, because, people like to flag. So I'm just going to fall back and just, quote him, you know, um, paraphrase pretty much what he was pretty much saying. And he was on Vlad TV. Beanie Siegel's like, every time somebody comes on here, they get locked up, right? And then Vlad turns around and says, well, name one time, my interview was used in a court case. And pretty much corrects him and says, I ain't talking about being used in a court case. I'm talking about them being used, period. Like investigators, FBI looking at, things people said. And then Beanie was like, which made a lot of sense. Like, they not going to blow their cover, pretty much saying, like, if they are getting it from Vlad's interviews, they not going to say it because they want to continue to get that information from Vlad TV interviews, right? So here's my take on the whole situation. Because, we do interviews as well. And I'm going to take you back to a time when Coolio did an interview here, and then he did an interview here twice. And people were blaming us. They said, oh, but, after this, they wasn't blaming us. They was pretty much saying after this interview, the information that he revealed in that particular interview, pretty much, they said that he died. They think that he was killed, some foul play. Everybody always thinks that when a celebrity dies, right? But let's talk about Vlad, right? Because you got Beanie Siegel, you got Benzino, and to me, all of these guys are full of crap. These guys are full of crap, right? Now, here's what I'll say about Vlad TV's interviews from my observation, right? Simply my observation. The type of questions that he asks, right, are questions that typical interviewers wouldn't ask. Not all of them, but some of them. For example, I was talking to Sandman yesterday. I was like, and we was joking around. I was like, all right, we had Rich Porter's son on, about a month ago. So I said, Vlad would ask Rich Porter's son, right? So Rich, because everybody knows Rich, he went to prison. Rich Jr. went to prison for selling drugs, right? So, Rich, how much kilos of coke did you sell? You think you sold more coke than your father? Stuff like that. And of course, that's a great headline. 'Cause if you get him to talk, say, yeah, you know what? My dad sold this. Man, I sold 10 times more coke, dope than my father. Then that's a headline that Vlad can write up. Rich Porter Jr. says that he sold 10 times more cocaine than his father. You feel what I'm saying? But for us, I wouldn't feel comfortable like talking about none of that type of stuff with anybody because this is a code that we got amongst brothers. But people from outside, it's straight business. And it's business for us too, but it's straight business, right? It's like, all right, I'm in business. I want to get the juiciest stuff. I'm going to ask them whatever. Now, they want to come in and say, look, they don't want me to ask them that. I won't ask them that. But as far as everything else, that's on the table. And I respect it. I respect it to a certain extent. My problem is, because you ain't got to answer anything. He can ask you anything. You ain't got to answer. My problem is, being on the other side, is when these different artists and stuff act like they don't want to talk about nothing on your platform, right? But they go into all these other platforms the coder, the ISIS coder platforms, right? And they give up everything. I ain't even gonna give no examples because it's like people gonna think we hating and things like that. But things going behind the scenes where it's like, oh, dude, he ain't want to talk about that with us, but he's talking about that with them over there, and you just charge it to the game and you move on. So ultimately, do I believe that Vlad interviews were used in investigations? Absolutely, absolutely. Now, whether they're going to tell you or enter it into evidence is one thing, but if they're not pressed to believe, if a dude's talking about stuff that he did, case in point, Casanova. Case in point, ARAB. Now let me talk about. Let me further clarify what I'm talking about. Here's what I'm talking about, right? If you are right, because people gonna say, "Oh no, it wasn't officially used. They ain't used this in court and this, that, and the third." But let's just say if you were 10 years ago, you was a dope boy, right? And you became a rapper, you're a millionaire now. And you were still holding on to that dope boy, lifestyle. And you went on Vlad or any other platform and you would ask something about how many kilos you sold and you tell. Or how many bodies you got and you tell, right? And you're not out of that lifestyle. Now that's stupidity on your end, obviously. But on the other end, it's like, yeah, the cops could use that. Just because they're not going to enter into evidence, and a lot of times they done because they use music, they use interviews, right? They will say, well, on such and such day, you admitted to, being this. It might not always be like the nail in a coffin, but it may aid in a bed. It may put the feds on to you now. Because like, oh, wow, this dude's the biggest drug dealer, in Idaho. Oh, let's look into this. Let's investigate this guy. Why are we going to investigate him? Because he was the biggest drug dealer. You get what I'm saying? That's what I mean when I say, like, okay, maybe, you can't point out an instance and say, okay, this is where they actually factually used it. But bringing those type of questions up, answering those type of answers, right, could put you in a whole heap of trouble. Now, as far as B2B Savage, I don't believe that it was Vlad's interview that got him killed. I don't believe that. There's a curse. If you know the story, you could see clearly that dude took a picture, right? Put a picture out of apparently where he allegedly killed somebody like 2 weeks or 2 months, something like that prior to. So imagine you taking somebody out, blood on the walls, blood on the floor. You go back and take a picture and post it up, right? I mean, the anger that you're going to inflict from a freshly grieving family that's going through a lot of emotions, undoubtedly in that same area, it's like you telling God to pick up the heat and come get you. Like you pretty much saying, yo, go come get me when you do that antagonizing stuff. So that's my prior observation of it. Benzino's talking, but Benzino was just on there and made this guy over $100 something or more $1,000 worth of interview clips. But he's talking about he ain't going on there no more. Nah, here's the truth about it. A lot of these dudes, and I'm not saying Benzino, they need that money. They want that money, and inherently there's nothing wrong with it. Remember Boosie, right? Boosie was talking about he gets 40 bands for an interview, and I believe him. Maybe not from everyone, but certain people, yes, he probably gets 40 bands because y'all gotta understand that the optics of the whole YouTube thing. You gotta understand, how this thing works to really understand. Like if we're in business and we pay people for interviews, so I understand it 100%. Let's just say if I gave Jay-Z comes on, we give him 50 grand for an interview, right? We get a 2-hour interview, right? That could probably turn into 15 videos if done correctly. 15 different topics, 15 videos that you can quadruple possibly your money if done right. Right? It's certain people that's just going to hit. So the reason I'm saying all that is like, to me, this podcast game is replacing people's, shows. And Boosie even said it like, yo, this is safer. I'm going to go sit on a podcast and get 5 G's for an hour. Or 4 G's or 3 G's or whatever the case may be. We have put all types and paid all types of numbers for people in the industry, right? All types of numbers that we paid for people. Flew people in, drove people in, give them everything they need. Give them the red carpet. Give them the red carpet, right? Feed them. They want liquor, whatever they want, we got you, right? Because that's just how we believe in running our business. So you putting the money out, but the money's coming back in. It's business. It's business. So I would never. I understand how that business model works at the end of the day. So some of these people, if they're getting offers of $5,000, $10,000, they could talk all day about culture and boycott this. Nah, they going and they going to talk for that money, man. It just is what it is. We see it every day, right? They going to go get that bread. They throwing everything out the window. This industry is about 100% money. Don't let anybody fool you talking about it's for this, it's for that. It's for the money. And the reason I'm saying that because I understand how this business works. I'm in this business. It's cutthroat. It's still the part of the music business. It's cutthroat, and these dudes about 100% moolah. Now you do have your loyal people. I'm not gonna say you don't have your loyal people inside a certain part. You do, and met a lot of good people, a lot of good artists, a lot of good comedians, movie stars, politicians, whatever. A lot of great people, but a lot of slithering snakes too. Met a lot of them in this industry. So I can attest the last 5 years, I can attest over 300 interviews dealing with, anybody you could probably imagine in the industry, dealing with their, rap, all rap dealing with their rap, meeting with them, boom, 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 boom. So I get it. So in conclusion, like I said, you want to go in there and answer these questions, they're going to be asked. If you want to go in there and answer them and talk about brothers, that ain't even on the table. I'm not talking about how many kilos you sold but for him, that's what people want to hear for his platform, and that's his thing. That's fine. But you guys gotta be smarter than that and say, nah, just because I'm getting paid $10,000 for this interview, I'm gonna say whatever. And I got some Henny to drink on, some weed to smoke, and I'm gonna go and say whatever. Nah. So it's a double-edged sword, But with us, if we try to ask a question like that, oh, you a fair, you a right, you this, you that, shit up, but other people could do it all day long. That's the double standard in the industry, right? So I'm gonna leave it at that. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Make sure you hit the like button, meaning the thumbs up button. Our website is hiphopun.com. Check it out. Peace.